Hi, I'm Vinje. I'm an artist. I do a lot of different kinds of art, but the thing I started with, and one of my favorite things, is collage. And collage is a French word that basically means to glue stuff onto other stuff. So probably all of you have done a little bit of collage. It's a French word, and there's a whole bunch of different words that end in age, and they all mean different things you can do with paper. So if you cut your things, it's decoupage. If you put a whole bunch of pictures next to each other, like a photo montage, that's also kind of a collage. You can tear it and burn it and get it wet and fuzzy. So there's a lot of different things you can do with paper. And of course, collage doesn't have to be just paper. You can do it with objects too. I've got some demos here that I can just kind of show you real quick. See if I can find my right piece of wood. So this is just a little piece of wood. I went in with some tissue paper and made a little bit of a background, and I use Mod Podge. But you could also get away with Elmer's glue, just water it down a little bit so that you can paint it on and it's not as thick. And I just kind of dip in and paint my glue right onto where I want to stick my thing. And then I'll stick this little bit of coral right down here. And then I'll add some glue over it. And it goes on white, but it dries completely clear and makes it nice and smooth. You guys know if you've ever glued anything, the paper wants to bubble up. So you really have to spend a little bit of time smishing it out and making sure it doesn't wrinkle. That's important. I've got some other little seashells here that I cut out, and I just get my pictures out of magazines and catalogs and, you know, sometimes vacation brochures or those catalogs that come for free at Christmas time with presents for people. Those have great pictures. Once I glued a bunch of fruit on a bench and I sold it at the art center for $600. It's true. So I can just let that dry for a couple of minutes, and I'll go in and add some other little things. And when I'm done, I'm going to take some hot glue and make a little border of beads all the way around it, so it looks super fancy and shiny like water and under the ocean. You can do it with really simple things. You can use magazine pictures, construction paper. You can do it like Matisse with just wiggly shapes and make an arrangement. That's really fun because you kind of get to just drive around in circles with your scissors and get really cool shapes. Once I did a whole entire report about cobra snakes, and I collaged all of the pages with all kinds of handy information, and it's like the coolest report I ever made. And it's on both sides. Lots of just magazine pictures and colored paper and, you know, different colors of markers and stuff. All about the king cobra. And it folds all up nice and flat. That's fun. This one was just tissue paper with some animals cut out of a catalog. Yep, just little decorative animals in a decorative background. There's one in the style of Picasso. That was kind of fun. This little itty bitty guy is just little shapes. You don't have to make a thing or make a picture when you're doing collage. You can just use it for decoration. There are so many different things. You can use fabric and yarn and little bits of newspaper. This one's that building downtown. I don't know if you guys know if you've ever seen that, but that's just a little collage about that really old building downtown. This one's kind of one of my favorites. I didn't do it. My daughter did that. It was a visual book report when she was in 5th grade. You can do a lot of things with collage to give people information. Let's see, this is probably dry right now. See if I can find this one other shell that I really want to use. Stick it right down in that corner. I might have to add some glitter to this. That might be a thing. And I might have to find some more fish. But I also really like these pink shells, so I'm going to cut those out. I'm going to use those too. Alright, I'm going to show you how I drive around with scissors. A lot of people, when they're cutting a thing out, they kind of try to move the scissors. And I move the paper. And just kind of go, and I just spin that paper around in circles. And you just got to make sure you stay in the lines so that you don't get an edge on it. But you can kind of go too far in and nobody knows. Because of course you've cut it off and now it's gone. That happens a lot when I'm using pictures and there's like a page number on it or some writing because it's like an advertisement for something. I just cut that part off and change the shape. Or if it's something that's really hard to cut out, like flowers, sometimes I just cut off the extra petals and make it easy. You can't tell after you do that. Alright, we'll just put a little bit here. Make sure you squish it down. I love Mod Podge, but you can do a collage with glue sticks. You can use hot glue. When I'm doing assemblages and gluing rusty things onto other things, I like to use just regular old household caulk that you use for sealing your windows. It's just like, you know, fancy glue, only it's cheap. And you get to use that squirty thing. I love glue. It's one of my favorite things. Sometimes I actually glue things to my house. There, that's getting kind of filled up a little bit. I think I'll do a mussel. Everybody needs an extra mussel or two. Just turn that paper, and that way I don't have to work my scissor hand too hard. It's a lot easier to try and turn paper than it is to make your hand go all weird with scissors. Oh yeah, I like this one. We're going to do a little overlapping though. Let's see, where should we put this? It's like being the puzzle that I'm the boss of. Totally up to me where I put things. Yep, right there. Right there in a little group of 3. There. Alright, that's going to be dry in a minute. I want to make sure I get my brush in some water. Never leave your glue brush out of the water because you know what? It'll get glued into a stick. Make that nice and tight so it doesn't dry out. Then I'm going to plug in my glue gun for that bead part. Need a stick, so I got to feed it in there. And the thing with hot glue is that it dries really fast. So you got to jump in and just do a little bit at a time so you've got time to squish it before the hot glue dries. And I just make a little wiggly line. Drop it right on down there. And of course keep your fingers out of it because that hurts. Okay, here we go. A little bit longer, yes. I'm just giving it a little bit of a border because you know borders just kind of make everything better. Although I've got to confess, I do a lot of collages where I collage right onto the frame and there's no border at all, so I guess it just depends on how you're feeling it. Almost all the way around. I think I just got a little confused because I just thought of a thing. I just remembered that I have a glass fish somewhere that used to be on a wire, but he fell off his wire. And so maybe he needs to be glued on here. Sometimes you can have different ideas and suddenly distract yourself. Oh yeah. A little more of that last little bead there so he's not flopping around like that. There we go. That made it all nice and shiny and kind of spiffed it up a little bit, don't you think?